For decades, inside boardrooms in Nagoya, Toyota followed one non-negotiable rule: build everything in-house. Yet right now, a Toyota sedan cruising through Beijing runs on a battery built by its biggest rival, BYD. It looks like surrender, but it's actually a masterclass in strategic survival. You won't believe what Toyota's actually planning next. For most of its history, Toyota ran on total control. Its production system turned supply chain management into a science, and the Prius made it synonymous with hybrid dominance worldwide. Fully electric vehicles were treated with open skepticism internally, and Toyota bet instead on hybrids and hydrogen, convinced the broader market wasn't ready to go all in on batteries yet. Then China stopped waiting on anyone. New energy vehicles officially crossed half of all new car sales in the country. Combustion engines and traditional hybrids started losing ground fast, and both Toyota and Volkswagen watched their gas and hybrid sales drop somewhere between 15 and 20% in just 12 to 18 months. That's not a gradual decline, that's a market flipping underneath an entire industry within a single product cycle. For Toyota, the message was blunt: adapt immediately or get pushed out of the world's most important car market entirely. Here's what actually makes this worth paying attention to. Toyota isn't some struggling latecomer scrambling to catch up out of panic. This is the company that literally wrote the modern manual on manufacturing discipline, the one every other automaker studied and copied for decades. Even its own playbook had no answer for how fast China's electric vehicle market was moving. And that says something important. It means the ground rules for the entire industry had shifted, and being Toyota bought no exemption from that. Here's the part most headlines skip entirely. In an electric vehicle, the battery isn't just a component, it's often 30 to 40% of the total production cost by itself. Get that number wrong and your margins disappear before you've sold a single unit. So Toyota faced a brutal choice: build its own battery supply chain completely from scratch, or buy in from someone who'd already solved it. Building meant billions in capital, years spent locking down lithium, nickel, and cobalt supply contracts, and a manufacturing learning curve measured in years, not months. None of that happens overnight, and none of it happens cheaply. The real problem was that Toyota simply didn't have years to spare. Every quarter spent building its own battery ecosystem from zero was another quarter of losing ground in China, watching local competitors ship finished electric vehicles while Toyota was still securing raw materials. What Toyota was actually short on wasn't cash, it was time, and no amount of capital could buy more of it. You can throw unlimited money at a gigafactory, but you cannot compress the years it takes to stabilize production quality, negotiate raw material contracts, and train a workforce to build battery cells at real scale. And that mismatch is exactly what pushed Toyota toward a partner who had already cracked the problem. To understand why Toyota turned specifically to BYD, you have to understand what BYD actually is. It didn't start as a car company at all. BYD began in 1995 making batteries for mobile phones, and only later expanded into building automobiles. That origin matters because it means BYD controls its battery production entirely in-house, from raw cell to finished pack, something almost no rival in the industry can match. That vertical integration gives it tight cost control and the ability to iterate fast without waiting on outside suppliers for anything. Now the chemistry itself. Most premium electric vehicles lean on nickel-manganese cobalt batteries, which pack in more energy density but come at a price. They're expensive, and they carry a real risk of thermal runaway under stress. BYD went in a different direction entirely, choosing lithium iron phosphate instead. Cheaper raw materials, a far more stable chemistry, a longer usable lifespan measured in thousands of charge cycles, and no dependence on scarce, expensive metals at all. Then there's the physical design that gives the battery its actual name. Instead of stacking bulky modules with wasted space between them, BYD arranges long, thin cells like blades directly inside the pack, skipping the intermediate module stage entirely. That structural choice alone boosts volumetric energy density by roughly 50% compared to a traditional LFP pack, while cutting bulk and improving overall efficiency. Put those two advantages together, cheaper chemistry and a smarter structural layout, and the Blade battery holds up for more than 3,000 charge cycles, equivalent to over 1.2 million kilometers of driving before meaningful degradation sets in. Because it skips nickel and cobalt entirely, it also costs roughly 20 to 30% less to produce than an NMC pack of the same capacity. For a company like Toyota, obsessed with cost discipline and safety in equal measure, that combination is difficult for almost any rival battery to match. And then there's the safety result that earned Toyota's actual trust. Put through the industry's most extreme stress test, the kind designed to push a battery cell to its absolute breaking point. A standard NMC battery reacts catastrophically within seconds, overheating and igniting. BYD's Blade battery, pushed through that same extreme scenario, stays stable and controlled the entire time, with no dangerous reaction at all. For a brand whose entire identity is built on one word, reliability, that single result matters more than any spec sheet ever could. This alliance isn't a handshake deal born out of sudden desperation either. It goes back to 2019 when Toyota and BYD quietly formed a 50-50 joint venture for shared research and development. The division of labor is straightforward. BYD brings the EV platform, the Blade battery, the electric motors, and the software integration, while Toyota brings vehicle engineering, suspension tuning, its own strict quality control standards, and critically decades of accumulated brand trust. The clearest proof of concept is the Toyota BZ3 sedan, built specifically for the Chinese market. Underneath the surface, it's built on BYD's battery and motor, wrapped in Toyota's own body styling and safety engineering. The pricing tells the real story here. It starts at roughly 169,800 yuan, around $24,000, an aggressive number for a car wearing a Toyota badge. Buyers get a choice between a 49.9 or 65.3 kilowatt-hour Blade pack, delivering somewhere between 517 and 616 kilometers of range on China's test cycle, with fast charging from 30 to 80% in just 27 minutes. What makes the BZ3 significant isn't simply that it exists, it's what it proves. Toyota didn't have to spend years reinventing an EV platform from the ground up. It took a proven battery and motor system already validated on Chinese roads, wrapped it in the engineering rigor its badge is known for, and shipped a genuinely competitive product in a fraction of the usual development time. If you want the next breakdown, the moment the global auto market shifts again, this is exactly the kind of story this channel covers. So go ahead and subscribe now before we keep going. This is where the auto industry's old rulebook stops applying cleanly. Toyota and BYD are direct competitors fighting over the exact same customers. Yet here they are, co-developing technology together anyway. It's a strange kind of teamwork between rivals, driven by a simple reality: staying locked in pure competition, refusing to work with the enemy on principle alone, is a luxury none of them can actually afford anymore. And this deal isn't charity from BYD's side either. Partnering with Toyota validates BYD as a genuine Tier 1 global technology supplier, not just a domestic Chinese car maker, but a company serious global automakers are willing to build alongside. That kind of validation is worth more to BYD's global ambitions than almost any marketing campaign could ever buy. It also lets BYD monetize its spare battery production capacity by selling to outside manufacturers, turning idle capacity into an entirely new revenue stream. Strip away the surface-level headlines, and this isn't a story about one company bailing out another. It's two companies with very different strengths. One dominant in battery technology, the other dominant in brand trust and engineering discipline. Recognizing that combining those strengths gets both of them further, faster, than fighting each other in isolation ever could. So does this mean Toyota has quietly given up on being an engineering leader? That's a fair question skeptics keep raising. And the more accurate read is pragmatism over pride. Sacrificing a slice of short-term self-sufficiency is a small price to pay for staying relevant in the world's most competitive car market. Because here's what's happening behind the scenes while the BZ3 rolls off the line right now. Toyota is pouring resources into next-generation solid-state battery technology, targeting a commercial launch between 2027 and 2028. The target specs are staggering. A driving range beyond 1,000 kilometers, with fast charging that adds most of that range back in just 10 minutes. Solid-state batteries promise faster charging, longer range, and even greater safety margins than today's best lithium chemistries. And Toyota has spent years quietly positioning itself as one of the actual leaders in that race. Put all the pieces together and the plan becomes obvious. Use BYD's proven technology to survive the immediate EV wave in China right now, without burning years chasing a battery supply chain from zero. Meanwhile, keep the cash flowing in from a global hybrid business that BYD and most Chinese rivals simply don't have. Since Toyota sells more than 3.4 million hybrid vehicles worldwide every single year, generating billions in net cash flow that funds this exact research without ever putting the company at real financial risk. Then funnel that money into the technological leap that could put Toyota back in front of the entire industry once solid-state batteries are actually ready for mass production. This isn't Toyota admitting defeat. It's Toyota buying itself the runway to win later on its own terms, instead of being forced to fight today's battle with tomorrow's unfinished technology. Step back, and the bigger picture becomes clear. Toyota's partnership with BYD wasn't a moment of weakness. It was a necessary, pragmatic pivot from a company willing to do whatever it takes to stay in the game. It shows just how far BYD has evolved from a phone battery maker into a genuine global power player in energy technology. And it exposes a side of Toyota most people never get to witness, a willingness to move fast and decisively the moment its business is genuinely on the line. The lesson here goes beyond these two companies specifically. Supply chain flexibility has quietly replaced absolute self-sufficiency as the real competitive edge in this industry. The automakers still clinging to the old idea that everything must be built in-house are the ones most likely to get left behind, while the ones willing to borrow, partner, and adapt are the ones still standing once the dust settles. So here's the real question to consider. Is this the smartest move Toyota has made in a decade? Or is it the first crack in an empire that once refused to depend on anyone?